Hello and welcome to A Path Less Travelled UK, Horizon 22 to Tower Bridge Tour. My name is Marcy, and as with all my walking guides, the aim of this tour is to make travelling between points of interest more interesting. For the main attractions, please make full use of the guides at the sites to get the most of your visit. Before proceeding, please ensure you have listened to the introduction on YouTube or read it on the Path Less Travelled UK Facebook or Instagram pages. This will give you all the relevant information, such as important safety notices, as you are responsible for your well-being at all times on these tours. Also, don't listen to the commentary while walking. Keep alert of your surroundings and find a safe spot to stop and listen. The next two photos are from Google Maps, giving an overview of the area we're covering. There are also detailed maps with each section a commentary to assist you in finding your way around. The whole tour takes approximately an hour, not accounting for stopping at the sites. You will want to start this tour as early as possible, as you can easily spend 3 hours just in the Tower of London. Now, assuming you're up to speed with the general premise of these self-guided walking tours after listening to the introduction video, let's begin. Today's tour starts at Liverpool Street Station and ends at Tower Hill Underground Station. On the way, we will be taking in Horizon 22, the Monument to the Great Fire of London, the Tower of London, and Tower Bridge, among many others. If doing this tour on a Sunday, please check for service times at St. Boltoph's Without Bishopsgate and All Hallows by the Tower churches, so you can attend or avoid accordingly. They are Church of England, so Protestant in faith. Liverpool Street Station is in East London on the Circle, Central, Hammersmith and City, and Metropolitan lines, as well as being a mainline network rail station serving Essex, Suffolk and Norfolk counties. However you arrive at the station, make your way onto the main concourse, pictured, and walk towards the escalators opposite platforms 11 to 17. Go up the escalators and turn right onto Bishopsgate, the street running outside the station. It is normally very busy, so please be extra cautious with your belongings in this area. Crossing Liverpool Street, continue a short way down until you reach St. Boltoph's Without Bishopsgate Church. Just past the church, you will see a gate leading to a small churchyard. Pause commentary until you enter the churchyard and find a safe place to stop. It is believed this has been the site of worship since the Roman period in approximately 200 CE. CE stands for Common Era, and it's an alternative way to say AD. They discovered the foundations of a Saxon church, which would have been over 1,000 years old, when the current building was constructed in 1729. For any poetry fans, John Keats was baptized in the present font in 1795. St. Boltoph is actually a trendsetter, as they were the first to convert their burial grounds into a public green space, which caused quite a stir at the time. Please make your way next along the path exiting out the back of the churchyard until you reach a square with a quaint tiled building in the centre. Pause commentary until you reach there. I feel we take modern plumbing for granted a lot of the time, so like to share this beautiful reminder that it wasn't so long ago, the late 1800s in this case, that having a pool or even a plumbed bathtub was a luxury. The Victorian Bathhouse is now an events venue and can take up to 60 people in its underground chambers, but has lost none of its external charm. When you have finished at the bathhouse, make your way back to the gate you entered the churchyard, stopping just inside of it. If you wish to pop into the church and admire its lovely interior, now is the time to do so. Pause commentary until you are ready to proceed from the gate. When ready, turn right onto Bishopsgate from the grounds and walk until you reach the intersection with Wormwood Street. Continue down Bishopsgate when safe to do so, looking out for the tiny church front nestled between two skyscrapers on the opposite side of Bishopsgate. Pause commentary until you reach there. This is St. Ethelburga's venue. I like to point it out as it perfectly sums up the diverse architecture in the city. The body of the church was originally built in 1411, and the bell turret was added in 1775. The building was severely damaged by an IRA bomb in 1993, but was restored, and they took the opportunity to turn a horrific event into a positive outcome by making it a centre for reconciliation and peace. Please take the next pedestrian crossing over Bishopsgate, and you should be in front of a building called Horizon 22. Go to the second set of entrance doors a bit further up the street. In 2023, they opened the highest viewing platform in London. The Shard on the south bank of the Thames is the tallest building in the UK, but isn't free, and the viewing platform is actually 11 metres lower than this one. Horizon 22 can get booked up far in advance online, though they do release spots on the day, so as long as you're there between 10 AM and noon, you should be able to get a slot to go up. If you've come later, it's still worth asking. You'll need to access a QR reader to book your free ticket before entering, wait for the confirmation email, and show that to enter. Allow at least half an hour for your visit to take in the stunning views. Please pause the commentary until you are finished at Horizon 22, or stay just outside the building on Bishopsgate to listen to the next section. When exiting Horizon 22, you'll enter Crosby Square. Turn right immediately and follow the tunnel back to the entrance on Bishopsgate. Pause briefly to look across the road. The impressive building in front of you was the National Provincial Bank of England and was designed by John Gibson in about 1865. It stands on the corner of Threadneedle Street, whose name is believed to have derived from a sign of 3 needles that stood here. The street appropriately houses the Merchant Tailors Company, which is one of the 12 great livery companies in the city. A livery company is a descendant of a medieval trade guild. They now tend to focus on education and charity work. Please turn left and continue down Bishopsgate again. At the first crossing you come to, Leadenhall Street, briefly look at the right down Cornhill. If you look at the third building in, with the terracotta-coloured upper stories, you will see a couple of handsome gargoyles looking out. When safe to do so, cross Leadenhall Street and continue straight, and very quickly, on the left, you will see Leadenhall Market. Probably easier to look out for the Noon Moon pub on the corner to spot the entrance to the street. Make your way into the market, stopping near the crossroads within. Pause commentary until you reach there. Leadenhall Market may now be a beautiful arcade of 19th century shops, but its history is much more varied. It was once the heart of Roman Londinium, and the remains of a forum are underneath the cobblestone streets. In fact, Bishopsgate and Leadenhall Street follow old Roman roads. Back to the market, though. In 1411, Dick Whittington gifted the land to the City of London Corporation, who have been in charge of it ever since. For centuries, it was a successful market trading meat, fish, and grain. By the 1600s, this expanded to cheese, wool, and leather. In the 1880s, however, the unruly market didn't rub shoulders too well with the flourishing financial district in the city, so it was redesigned by Sir Horace Jones to what you can see today. You can easily see why the market was used in the film Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone for any Americans listening, as the area of London outside the Leaky Cauldron pub. It also made an appearance in Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and the Netflix series Black Doves. If you look down the end of the covered portion of the market, you will see the Lloyd's of London building. This is the centre of the insurance industry. The reason I want to draw your attention to this piece of modern architecture, built in 1978, is to point out the pod-like rooms running up and down the sides of the building. These are, in fact, the lavatories. Now, when you are at the crossroads within the market, looking back towards where you entered it, please take the road to the left, which is Lime Street Passage, and walk down until you reach Bull's Head Passage. Turn right, go down a short distance until you reach this blue doorway. Pause commentary until you reach there. This, as you may have gathered from the signs on the surrounding buildings, was the doorway used as the entrance to the Leaky Cauldron in the first Harry Potter film. It wasn't blue then, but you can always edit your photos later. When finished with this site, please continue down Bull's Head Passage to the end. Bishopsgate became Grace Church Street when you crossed Leadenhall Street, but it's still the same road marked the A10 on the map. Turn left and go straight down until you reach Eastcheap. Turn left, and a short distance on the left, you will find Philpott Lane. Turn left into the lane, staying on the left-hand side, and stop when you are about 15 meters or yards into the lane. Once stopped, look on the opposite side of the street and slightly up. Pause commentary until you reach there. Have you spotted it yet? The charming sculpture of two mice fighting over a chunk of cheese on the side of the building? While you look, I'll tell you that little is known as to when or why this sculpture appeared, though it must have been after 1862 when the building was constructed. A sad tale has been attributed to the sculpture, saying it commemorates the deaths of two construction workers squabbling over a cheese sandwich, but there is no evidence to support this. I personally think someone just wanted to bring a little smile to passers-by, and I applaud them for that. You are now going to return to the corner of Grace Church Street and Eastcheap, where you just turned at. This time, you are going to cross at the traffic lights and go down Fish Street Hill towards the large pillar that you no doubt spotted on the way down. Pause commentary until you are at the base of the pillar. You are now looking at the monument to the Great Fire of London. The fire started on the 2nd of September 1666 and burned for 4 days. It destroyed 13,200 homes, 87 churches, and the old St. Paul's Cathedral. This accounted for about a third of the city at the time. Remarkably, only 6 people were recorded to have died as a direct result of the fire, though that may be because remains were not found for others. Of course, regardless of the number, it was still tragic, but could have been much worse given that there was no fire service at the time. The fire started in Thomas Farriner's bakery in Pudding Lane. The long dry summer gave the ideal conditions for the fire to spread, bearing in mind that many houses would have had thatched roofs and be timber framed. The fire was eventually stopped by a combination of a drop in the strong east wind and the Tower of London garrison creating fire breaks using gunpowder. The monument was designed by Sir Christopher Wren and Dr. Robert Hooke and was finished in 1677. Incidentally, Wren also designed the church, Magnus the Martyr, that you can see at the end of the street. They were unable to position the pillar in Pudding Lane, so instead the top of the 202-foot height, or 61 meters, symbolizes the point where the fire started if the pillar was to be laid down eastward from this spot. If you would like to climb the monument and enjoy the views, please pause commentary now, but be warned it is a 311-step climb up a spiral staircase. If you prefer to save your legs for the considerable walk in front of you, or if you have finished your visit, please listen to the next section carefully, as this is a real treat in my humble opinion. Go back up Fish Street Hill and turn right onto Eastcheap. Follow the road as it becomes Great Tower Street, and a short way down, turn right into a narrow street called Idle Lane. You will soon come upon a church steeple on the left. Go through the gate on the left of that and enter the church nave. Pause commentary until you reach there. You are now in St. Dunstan's in the east, and as you make your way around the garden, you will hopefully understand why I brought you here. The church was originally built in 1100 with later additions. It was badly damaged in the Great Fire, and while repairing it, Sir Christopher Wren's design for the steeple was added. By 1817, it was found that the weight of the roof had splayed the walls so severely that the church had to be rebuilt, though they kept Wren's tower. The new church was opened in 1821. What you can see today is the result of blitz damage from World War II. The Anglican Church decided not to rebuild, and the City of London Corporation turned it into a public park, which was opened in 1971. It's a popular lunch spot for workers in the city, as you can imagine. Once you have walked through the garden to the opposite side you entered, take the steps down to St. Dunstan's Hill. Turn left and go back up to Great Tower Street. Turn right and follow the road down past the hung, drawn and quartered pub at the end and cross Byward Street. Head for the church on your left, All Hallows by the Tower. On the way, pause to look at the Malta Memorial. Pause commentary until you are at the entrance to the church on the left-hand side off the pedestrian area. All Hallows by the Tower was originally founded in 675 CE. Though it survived the Great Fire of London, it was badly damaged in World War II. Following reconstruction, it opened again in 1957. During repairs, it was discovered that parts of the church had reused Roman tiles in the construction, which was common practice in the 7th to 11th centuries. Indeed, the crypt of the church has a wealth of Roman artifacts, including a Roman pavement. Worth checking out even if churches aren't your thing. Also, keep an eye out for the font cover, carved in 1682 by Grinling Gibbons, great name, which is considered one of the finest carvings in London. It takes about 30 minutes to see it all. Pause commentary until you have finished your tour of the church and are back outside the entrance. Now please make your way to the left when exiting the church. You will soon get your first look at the Tower of London, past the low grey buildings in front of you at the end of the pedestrian area. I'm going to be a bit of a tease, however, and first direct you to the right along Petty Wales until you reach the small cylindrical brick structure. Pause commentary until you reach there. Before the striking Tower Bridge was built, which only dates from the late Victorian period, people still needed a safe way to cross the river in this area and didn't always want to use a boat. In comes the Tower Subway Tunnel. Opened in 1869, this 410-metre, that's 1,340 feet long, cylindrical tunnel was lined with cast iron. It originally had a wooden carriage on a cable to bring passengers across, but it was converted to a foot tunnel shortly after. Over 1 million people a year used it, paying a halfpenny for the privilege. After Tower Bridge opened toll-free in 1894, the tunnel lost its popularity and closed in 1898. It is now used for water mains and telecommunication cables. The reason it is significant is the same method used to construct the Iron Shield Tunnel for this subway was used to create the first underground train tunnels in London, the mother of the Underground network. Now turn and take in the Tower of London. Go up to the railings so you can see the dry moat. Recently they've been planting it with wildflowers in the summer, and curtain wall. Pause commentary until you are at the moat edge. Though called the Tower, it is actually a collection of buildings, many reflecting different time periods, as there has been some kind of fortification here since at least 1066, when William the Conqueror became king. If you wish to go to the Tower of London, and as it's the #1 tourist attraction, I'm assuming the answer is yes, and have not yet purchased your tickets online, which I recommend to avoid the queues, or taken out a Historic Palaces membership, please purchase your tickets before listening to the next section of the tour. Allow approximately 2 to 3 hours for your visit. Pause commentary until you have finished at the ticket office but not yet entered the site. Proceed through the gates to the far left of the large tower gift shop to enter the site. If not immediately obvious, ask the attendants where to wait for the Beef Eater tour, which I recommend if this is your first visit. You can only gain access to the church where Anne Boleyn and Katherine Howard, 2 of Henry VIII's queens, are buried on this guided tour. They are very entertaining on the whole and included in your ticket price. Beefeater, by the way, is a nickname for the yeoman warders, who are retired military personnel who act as ceremonial guardians at the tower. While you may chat to and ask to take a photo with them, please do not do so with the guards outside the jewel house. These are working military personnel, and I ask that you respect them and any police when visiting these sites. If for any reason you don't take the tour, I suggest picking up a guidebook at least to get the most of your visit. I always head for the jewel house on the far side of the complex first, and then work my way back, as this tends to have the longest queues later in the day in my experience. The wall walk after Edward I's apartments gives great photo opportunities of the grounds. Please pause commentary until you are in the grounds, about to enter the White Tower. That's the large castle in the centre of the complex. The thing I most want to draw your attention to is the staircase to the White Tower entrance. Halfway up, you will see an opening off the landing with a sign giving details about the princes in the tower. Most of you will have heard of their uncle, Richard III, whose body was found under a car park and reburied at Leicester Cathedral in 2015. When Richard's brother, Edward IV, died, his teenage son, Edward V, became king in April 1483. Richard was appointed regent until Edward V came of age. Edward and his younger brother, Richard, Duke of York, were brought to the Tower, allegedly for their protection by their uncle. By sheer coincidence, the Bishop of Bath and Wells announced at this time that Edward IV had a pre-contract of marriage with another woman, hence his marriage to his queen Elizabeth Woodville was unlawful, thus making all the children illegitimate. I find the fact that he waited until after Edward IV had died to share this information highly suspect. In any case, Parliament declared Edward V illegitimate based on this, and Richard III was declared king in June 1483. The princes disappeared from public view by the autumn and were never seen again. There has recently been some supposed evidence of at least one of the princes escaping to Europe, but I'm afraid it hasn't been enough to change my mind. The remains of two young people were found near this spot, and are interred in an urn in Innocents' Corner at Westminster Abbey, just past the tomb of Elizabeth I. Though at the time of recording it has not been scientifically proven to be the princes, I think whatever happened to have these two children buried in a stairwell make them worthy of their grand interment at the Abbey. I could go on about the history of the Tower all day, but there are a wealth of displays and guides to help you get the most of your visit, so I'll leave it at that. I truly hope you enjoy exploring the site. When ready to move on, you can leave the way you came in, if you wish to check out the gift shop, or the side exit on the river if you want to save a few steps. Pause commentary until you are at the riverside with a good view of Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge, which is mistakenly called London Bridge by millions, was completed in 1894. The neo-Gothic design was favoured to blend in with the Tower of London. It was the largest bascule bridge, that's a bridge that swings open to allow boats to pass under it with the help of a counterweight, built up to that point and ran on steam power until 1976. Once you have taken your photos, make your way along the river to the archway under the bridge, ensuring that you use the pedestrian part of the underpass on the left. From just the opposite side of the arch, we have a loop, as explained in the introduction video. We are briefly taking in St. Katharine's Dock, and have a nice photo opportunity with a classic red phone box and a dolphin sculpture. Lovely pub too. If you wish to bypass these, please stay in a safe place near the staircase going up to the road going over the bridge. In other words, the stairs immediately to your right once you go through the archway and carefully cross the street you were just walking along. Do not use the stairs on the left or you will be on the wrong side of the bridge. If you are taking part, carefully cross the road in front of you and head slightly left to St. Katharine's Dock. Follow the path as straight as you can possibly go until you see a multi-story pub called the Dickens Inn. Pause commentary until you reach there. The Dickens Inn was originally a warehouse built in the early 1700s. It had to be moved 70 metres, or 230 feet, east to make way for housing development. It was converted by Cedric Dickens, grandson of the author Charles Dickens, in 1976. That was when the timbers and ironwork were reused to form the three-storied inn that you see today. I just think it's one of the prettiest pubs in London and wanted to share it with you. Just outside you will see a red phone box and a red pillar post box nearby, another photo op. St. Katharine's Dock itself dates from the 12th century, when a refuge for travellers and the infirm, St. Katharine's Hospital, was set up by Queen Matilda, King Stephen's consort. By 1825, a new bill transferred ownership of the dock, and the hospital was destroyed along with many other buildings. New warehouses were constructed and the dock thrived for decades. It was heavily bombed in World War II and officially closed in 1968. Regeneration started in 1973 with the building of a large hotel on the site, and that is why the majority of the buildings are modern. Once you have finished here and maybe had a cheeky drink, head back to the bridge that you crossed over in the dock, but turn left before crossing so you are walking alongside the water. Cross over the pedestrian bridge at the end and pause at the large sundial on the opposite side. Pause commentary until you reach there. This sundial, designed by Wendy Taylor in 1973, is a testament to man's first astronomical timepieces. I also happen to think it makes a nice prop in the foreground of photos of Tower Bridge. We are next making our way further along the river, where you will find the Girl with a Dolphin sculpture. Pause commentary until you reach there. This bronze sculpture was made by David Wynne in 1973. He studied zoology at Cambridge University and researched this piece by swimming with dolphins for hours. Another interesting photo op with the bridge, as well as in its own right. Next, we are heading to the base of the stairs on St. Katherine's Way that are to the left of the archway when looking at Tower Bridge. Pause commentary until you reach there. Please climb the stairs carefully and take your time. Once at the top, you will be on Tower Bridge itself. If you wish to cross over the bridge, make sure to pause and enjoy the views. Do not cross the road to the opposite side. If you wish to take photos from the other side, please come back to this point and use the staircase to the right that I told you to ignore earlier. There is a Tower Bridge experience which lasts 45 to 90 minutes, taking in the towers, raised walkway with glass floors, and engine rooms. I have sadly never been on it, so I can't give you my opinion, but if it takes your fancy, feel free to pause the commentary and indulge. The ticket office is at the base of the Northwest Tower, which you will pass. Once finished, or if you are carrying on without visiting, head back across the bridge pavement, that's sidewalk to our North American friends, towards the tower. For those of you who love Roman history like I do, the best preserved piece of wall that used to surround the square mile of Londinium is on the way to Tower Hill Underground Station. Follow the pavement until you reach the stairs going down to the left, just before you reach the intersection with a street called Tower Hill. Go down and walk along the pavement until you see a decorated underpass on your right. Go through and up the stairs in front of you, about halfway up. You will see an opening on the right with a bronze statue of a Roman emperor. Pause commentary until you reach there. Building of the London Wall started at about 200 CE and was 4 kilometers long, 6 meters high, and 2 to 2.6 meters across. That's roughly 2.5 miles by 19 foot by 8 foot. At 134 hectares, it was the largest enclosed urban area in Roman Britain. After the Romans left in 410, it fell into disrepair, though efforts were made to repair it by Alfred the Great after 886. By the 18th century, the wall was seen as obsolete and large sections were demolished. Only after World War II have the remaining sections become scheduled monuments. The statue represents Emperor Trajan, who ruled the Roman Empire from 98 to 117 CE. It is the cast of a late 1st century statue, which is on display at the National Archaeological Museum in Naples, Italy. You will no doubt have noticed that the entrance to Tower Hill Underground Station is opposite the opening to the Roman Wall viewing area you were just in. The station is on the Circle and District lines. This is the end of the Horizon 22 to Tower Bridge tour. I hope you have enjoyed it and will join me again on a Path Less Travelled UK soon.